Hey boys and girls, here is the lesson on parallel and perpendicular lines that's in your book. I so miss teaching geometry to you guys. This is one of my favorite units and I love being able to do this with you in class. So this is a real bummer that we're not being able to do this together. But I hope you're enjoying it. It's a little bit easier than some of the things we've been doing and kind of works on a different skill set than what we've been working on. There's no computation, it's more visual learning instead. So there are three types of lines we're going to learn about in this lesson. So we have intersecting lines, which are basically any lines that meet or cross at a point. So you can see in this first one, point E is the point where these lines intersect. So line AB intersects line CD, which is what it says right here. Okay. Perpendicular lines are intersecting lines, but the difference between an regular intersecting line and a perpendicular is that a perpendicular forms right angles, 4 right angles when it crosses. So it crosses in a perfect straight line across and a straight line down to form these right angles. And it meets at this common point, in this case it is J. So anytime you see like an intersection where they're exactly straight, that is where it is a perpendicular line. And you would say that as line FG is perpendicular to line HI. And of course, you know you can reverse the letters because it's a line. But when you're writing it, you would use the symbols. So we'll use the line symbols that we learned about earlier. And this little upside down T, that's your symbol for perpendicular. So FG is perpendicular to HI. And the last type of lines we're going to talk about are parallel lines. These are really easy because they just go on and on and on next to each other and never ever touch. So they are two perfectly straight lines that never ever touch. Because they are parallel lines that never touch, when you're looking at examples, you have to make sure that when you're calling them parallel lines, they are perfectly straight. Okay? It is possible to, I'm just going to use this bottom of my to-do list for today. It is possible to have one perfectly straight line, and then one that's just a little not straight. Okay? These are really bad examples because I'm holding my phone. Let me try that again. So one perfectly straight line, and then one line that is just a little imperfect. Are those two lines intersecting now? No, they're not. But if you were to keep, because remember, lines keep going on and on forever. If these lines were to keep going, they would eventually intersect. So that would not make them parallel, that would make them intersecting. Even though they're not touching right now, if they were to keep going, they would be touching later. So you kind of have to keep that in mind too, that at some point they could touch because they are lines that go on and on in any direction. Now, if they are line segments like that, what would those be? Those would still be intersecting, even though they're line segments. Okay? Because they're not parallel and they're not perpendicular. So if you were to extend those line segments, they would still intersect. Okay? So I love this figure here. It's got so many cool things. Now, unfortunately, you can see my answers. but that's okay. So the first question is, at what point does EH intersect with KL? So here's KL, here is EH. Where do they intersect? They intersect at point G. Okay. Then it asks you to name the lines that appear to be parallel. So that means two straight lines that'll never ever meet. Boom. AD and EH. What kind of angle is IBA? So we're using our knowledge of angles from the other day. IBA. Well, you can see that that's a right angle. So that's going to be a right angle. So it is a right angle. And then we have to find two pairs of parallel lines. Well, we look for those right angles again. So AD is perpendicular to IJ, and EH is perpendicular to IJ. So IJ is that across line that's crossing both of these to make those perpendicular. And then it asks you to look at another figure in the or angle in the figure. So it asks you to look at FGL. FGL, is that acute or obtuse? Well, clearly that is bigger than this, which is 90 degrees. So that is in fact an obtuse angle. Okay, so you also could have an opportunity to draw some of these. So they want you to use these two places to do these things. So they want you to draw a line that is perpendicular to both red lines. So you would basically just go straight down to make the line that you're going to draw cross both of them. And you would just trace down these dots right here, sorry. Okay. And then for number 10, you want to draw a parallel line, a line that's parallel to the green line and intersects the blue line. So you could go on this side and you could start here and just draw straight down this way, or you could draw straight down over here. I don't want to draw in my book, so. See, we want to draw a line that intersects one red line but not the other. So we're just going to come, you can just stop it kind of right here, because we don't want to cross that red line, but we want to make sure we're intersecting this one. So we just go like that right there. And then we want to draw a line that is perpendicular to the green line. So that's a little bit trickier. I would turn my book a little, and I would make sure that I am drawing a straight line right through my green line to make it have right angles. All right, so then we have this critical thinking problem at the bottom here. It says, are RS and XY parallel, intersecting, or neither? So that's exactly what I was just talking about. They are intersecting because they will cross, because lines go on forever in opposite directions. I'm rethinking the thought about what I said about those these right here. I said earlier that those would be intersecting, but they wouldn't be because they are line segments. So those would be neither. For some reason, I was thinking that they would still be intersecting because if you look at this one, it would go, but because they're line segments, that doesn't work. So sorry about that confusion on that one. These would be neither. These would be neither intersecting nor parallel because they are line segments, and they do not go on forever. Unlike over here, these lines do go on forever, so they will intersect. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope I didn't confuse you too much with that. I do apologize for that. All right, so that is it for parallel and perpendicular lines. I hope this helps to clarify things for you if you were having any trouble before. Don't forget to check on your missing work today, and we'll chat later. Have a great day.